So I want to start by wishing everybody a good week, a blessed week, and really a sweet week. We say Zita de Kavach. And may we have our creative juices flowing, and may we be connected to our work in a way that is fulfilling and enjoyable, and may we learn a lot and just learn how to parent our inner child better, and if you're a parent, to be a better parent, to, to just be without double standards, and to not need to be arrogant or a control freak or a snapper or needy or a liar or a narcissist or resentful or a gaslighter or a self-victimizer, or envious, jealous person or a saboteur or a blamer or someone too temperamental. And may we have a meaningful life and be active and just really to do our activities and have a full healing, and really just have good boundaries and focus on our recovery and see the beauty in the world and to be well. And so in the last video, I shared a lot of great blessings for Shabbos for the week. I know I've added to them. And may the cherry on top be a lot of pleasure. So in the program ACA, which is Adult Children of Alcoholics or Adult Children of Dysfunctional Families, it says origin of emotional intoxication. And we did that in the last video. And I'm not sure why I brought that up. I think I just wanted to say so as we heal as adults, moreh nevuchim. This is the Guide for the Perplexed by the Rambam. And so he says, no one could thoroughly understand the problems of us. This is how he starts it. And no one of us could thoroughly understand the problems. Sometimes the truth shines so brilliantly that we perceive it as clear as day. And our habit, our nature, then draw a veil over perception. We turn to darkness almost as dense as before. And the reason I want to share this is because a lot of people in recovery finally see the light, finally wake up. It's like all the darkness are in the past. And then we could find that we go back in, or sometimes it's really intense, feels like being struck by lightning sometimes. So he says, moreh nevuchim, Rambam says, it's like where those who are beholding frequently flashes of lightning still find themselves in the thickness of darkness of the night. So this is a journey, and, whatever it is, whether you grew up with trauma in your family or you didn't, or you went through something, seems like the whole world now, no one has the ability to say that they're, everyone who's alive now is doing some kind of correction, some kind of, rectification. Excuse me. And so what that could look like is being further ahead or less further ahead, and there's no in this case, what I'm about to share is not supposed to be something that you look at others. Just think about where you find yourself, really. So he says, for some, the lightning flashes in rapid succession as if continuous light, and their night is as clear as day. He gives the example of Moses, the prophet Moshe. He says some others perceive the prophetic flash. This is actually the light we see clearly. Could be called prophecy, but it's not some figurative thing. It's actually to see clearly, just to see clearly. He says some perceive the prophetic flash at long intervals. This is the degree of most prophets, and by others, only once during the whole night is a flash of lightning perceived. The whole night being the whole life. So, in other words, none of us get to say we're here and we're not in the darkness, and everyone here is humble in the sense that we're all in our bodies, right? And, okay, so by others, only one time during the whole night is a flash of lightning perceived. And if anyone out there is an angel, which means just taking the form of a body, but not actually in a body, we might say that they're like in the light, but it depends on how they were programmed, right? Anyway, there are some to whom the lightning flashes with varying intervals. It's like intervals that vary of light. Others are in the condition of men whose darkness is illuminated not by lightning, but like by a crystal or a similar stone or other substance that possess the property of shining during the night. It's like you see something reflecting the light, but you don't see the light directly. And to them, even the small amount of light is not continuous, but now it shines, now it vanishes. And then there's now a latter category of those who never beheld the light even for one day. So we said there's the ones who see it all the time, the ones who perceive at long intervals, at ones who only once in the whole lifetime did they see the light. You heard it. I've seen the light. Then there are some with varying intervals, and then some who see it by a reflection of something else, and then some who never, ever, ever saw the light, even for a day. Truth, in spite of all its, powerful manifestations, is completely withheld from them, and there's no simile for the obscure. So any parables, allegories, metaphors are required, just because it could be lucid and illustrated when trying to make the transcendent, the profound, intelligible. And in other words, like, there's no way to really understand this without even using this flashing of the light as an allegory. Not as allegory, as like an example. It's kind of like, even if we weren't even using this metaphor of the flashing of the light, it would be he's saying it would be like, how could you even understand this? And so we're all looking to understand on our level, and he gives a lot of quotes. He says, so far what we've learned, he says there's a lot of sources in the Torah. But first, the Almighty, desiring to lead us into perfection and improve the state of our society, has revealed to us laws which are to regulate our actions, and these laws, the Torah, however, presuppose an advanced state of intellectual culture. We must first form a conception of the existence of the Creator according to our capabilities. That is, we must have a knowledge of metaphysics, but only after studying physics, because physics borders on metaphysics, and must precede it in our course of study. Understanding, in other words, Hashem, who made the laws, first you have to understand the laws. And therefore, Hashem wrote about the description of creation, that is, with physical science, the subject being, on one hand, weighty and important, on the other hand, our means of fully comprehending being limited. His divine wisdom found it necessary to communicate to us in a language allegorically, figuratively, metaphorically, so that the uneducated may comprehend to their faculties or their feeble apprehension, while the educated person might take it in a different sense. The idea that the creation of the world actually holds within it the mysteries and the secrets. And so, layers and layers. And everything in the Torah is like that. So I'm going to read some quotes here. In devarim, Deuteronomy 5:31, it says, "But as for thee, stand thou here by me." So that's supposedly somebody who's in the light by God all the time. Then it says, "The skin of his face shone." That was Moses in Shemos, Exodus 34:29. In bamidbar, which is Numbers 11:25, it says, "They prophesied and didn't prophesy again." That's someone who has a period of time, but then that was it, nothing more. Then it says in Bereishis, Genesis 3:24, the flame of the rotating sword. The sword was reflecting light, like it mentioned earlier, the crystal that shows the light. And then in tehillim, the Psalms 82:5, it says, "They know not, neither will they understand. They walk in darkness." Those are people who never experience the light. And then Job 37:21 says, "And now men see not the light which is bright in the skies." The ones who do not see it any longer or ever. And we have some more quotes. Hosea 12:10. "I've also spoken in similes by the prophet." And then Yechezkel, Ezekiel 17:2 and 17:5. 17:2 is put forth a riddle and speaking a parable. And 17:5 is, does he not speak parables? And then kohelet, which is Ecclesiastes 7:24, says, "Far off and exceedingly deep, who can find out?" And then mishlei, Proverbs 1:6, "To understand a proverb and figurative speech, the words of the wise and their dark language." And mishlei 25:11, Proverbs, "A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in vessels of silver." So the gold, I think this is interesting because gold like could expand and silver is cooler. So it's like the apples of gold in the vessels of silver has to be perfectly fit so it can't expand or contract in a way that won't fit anymore. Okay, so then he continues, the figures employed by the prophets are of two kinds, where every word which occurs in the simile represents a certain idea, and two, where the simile as a whole represents a general idea, but has a great many points which have no reference whatsoever to that idea. They're just required to the simile, its proper form and order, or better to conceal the idea. The simile is therefore continued as far as necessary according to its literal sense. Stating that something is a figurative expression removes the screen from between the object and observer. And in this way, it prevents somebody from... So basically, sometimes every word matters, and every word represents something. And sometimes it's like the whole idea, but don't go too into it, because he says, when you say this is a figurative expression, you're already saying, okay, look, don't take every word literally. So that prevents someone from over-endeavoring to find hidden meanings foolishly in expressions which were never uttered by the author in that sense. And a person won't try to explain that which requires no explanation. And so we'll stop here, and I wish everybody all the best. Bye-bye.